Srimad Bhagavatam ki Go Premanandi. All glory to the assembled Bodhi. All glory to the assembled Bodhi. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Yato Jaya Mudiraye. Reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam with our very means of conquest, we first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes, learn the Bhagavad, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed to practically nil. And thus loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental hymns, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, the appearance of Sukadeva Goswami, text number 35. Please repeat. Api me Bhagavan Prita.
Api me Bhagavan Prita.
Krishnaha Pandu Sutta Priyaha. Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha.
Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha.
Paitri Swaseya Priti Autam Paitri Swaseya Priyatam
Patri Swaseya Pritiyatam
Tad Gotrashita Bandavaha Tad Gotrashyata Bandavaha. Api me Bhagavan Prita. Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha. Paitri Swaseya Priyatam. Tadgotrashyata Bandavaha. Api me Bhagavan Prita. Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha. Paitri Swaseya Priyatam. Tadgotrashyata Bandavaha. Api me Bhagavan Prita. Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha. Paitri Swaseya Priyatam. Tadgotrashyata Bandavaha.
Api me Bhagavan
Prita.
Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha. Paitri Swaseya Prityartam. Tadgotra Shata Bandavaha.
Api me Bhagavan Pritaha. Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha. Pati Swaseta Prityartham. Tadgotrashyata Bandavaha.
Api me Bhagavan Pritaha. Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha. Paitri Sasya Priyatam. Tadgotrasya Bandavaha. Api me Bhagavan Prita. Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha. Paitri Swasya Prityartham. Tadgotrashyata Bandavaha.
Api me Bhagavan Prita. Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha. Swasaya Priyatam. Tadgotrashyata Bandavaha.
Api me Bhagavan Prita. Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha Paitri Svaseya Priyattam Tadgotrasya Bandavaha Api me Bhagavan Prita Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha Paitri Swasesha Priyattam Tadgotrasya Bandavaha. Anyone else? I don't know the Sanskrit grammatical rule. We had to ask somebody like Yogindra Maharaj, but this is so simple, I'm sure a lot of devotees can answer it. As far as I know, on the first line, they don't pronounce the ha on an H with a dot under it, or any other word with a letter with a dot under it. So it'd be Api Bhagavan Prita, not Prita Ha, on the first line. It's only on the second line that they'll pronounce the ha when it's on the end. I forget what they call that in English. But it's Krishna Pandu Sutta Priya Ha, because they pronounce the H with the dot under it. On the first line they don't. And on the third line they don't. Only on the second and the fourth lines. That's what they've always said. That I've seen people who knew a little bit about Sanskrit who would sometimes do it anyhow, So, anyhow, let's do the word for word. Api.
Api.
Definitely.
Definitely.
May. Unto me.
Unto me.
Bhagavan.
Bhagavan.
The personality of Godhead.
The personality of Godhead.
Pritaha.
Pritaha.
Please.
Please.
Krishnaha.
Krishnaha.
The Lord.
The Lord.
Pandu Sutta.
Pandu Sutta.
The sons of King Pandu.
The sons of King Pandu.
Priyaha.
Priyaha.
Dear.
Dear.
Paitri.
Paitri.
In relation with the Father.
In relation with the Father.
Swaseya.
Swaseya.
The sons of the sister.
The sons of the sister.
Priti.
Priti.
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction.
Autumn.
Autumn.
In the matter of.
In the matter of.
Tat.
Tat.
There.
There.
Gotrasya.
Gokrasha.
Of the descendant.
Of the descendant.
Arta.
Arta.
Accepted.
Accepted.
Bandavaha.
Pandavaha.
Is a friend. Api me Bhagavan Prita Krishna Pandu Sutta Priyaha Paitri Swasesha Priyatam Tadgotra Shita Bandavaha. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very dear to the sons of King Pandu, has accepted me as one of those relatives just to please their great cousins, just to please his great cousins and brothers. Please repeat. Lord Krishna,
Lord Krishna,
the personality of Godhead,
the personality of Godhead,
who is very dear to the sons of King Pandu,
is very dear to the sons of King Pandu,
has accepted me as one of those relatives,
has accepted me as one of those relatives,
just to please his great cousins and brothers.
just to please his great cousins and brothers.
Srila Prabhupada, Divine Purport. A pure and exclusive devotee of the Lord serves his family's interests more dexterously than others who are attached to illusory family affairs. Generally, people are attached to family matters, and the whole economic impetus of human society is moving under the influence of family affection. Such deluded persons have no information that one can render better service to the family by becoming a devotee of the Lord. The Lord gives special protection to the family members and descendants of a devotee, even though such members are themselves non-devotees! Exclamation point. Even though such members are themselves non-devotees. Maharaj Prahlad was a great devotee of the Lord. But his father, Hiranyakashipu, was a great atheist and declared enemy of the Lord. But despite all this, Hiranyakashipu was awarded salvation due to his being the father of Prahlad Maharaj. The Lord is so kind that he gives all protection to the family members of his devotee. And thus, the devotee has no need to bother about his family members, even if one leaves such family members aside to discharge devotional service. Maharaj Yudhisthira and his brothers were the sons of Kunti, the maternal aunt of Lord Krishna. And Maharaj Parikshit admits the patronage of Lord Krishna because of his being the only grandson of the great Pandavas. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 35th sloka, 19th chapter, 1st canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the appearance of Sukadeva Goswami. I offer my humble and respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who is opening my eyes, although they have been shut by the dense darkness of ignorance. One will Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within the material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this has always been a very inspiring verse to devotees, especially myself, because initially all of Prabhupada's disciples, practically speaking, had to leave their families aside because, generally speaking, the families, not all, but I would say generally, the families were absorbed in other matters, either matters of the state or matters of their particular religion or social society. And the Hare Krishna movement was simply something too new, too foreign, and apparently, just another fad, which there were so many fads around. There's always some fad, something means something new that it has a lot of hype behind it, and it will certainly attract a lot of people initially, but then it'll fade away in the course of time, generally a little bit of time. So they generally took the Hare Krishna movement like that, or they took it as something foreign. Religious people took it as foreign religion, something that they had possibly, and certainly to some degree, had even preached against, considered to be darkness, not a part of the teachings of their sect, which they often considered to be the means of salvation. Everything else simply a part of darkness. So devotees had to, generally speaking, leave behind such family members. They may have had some, certainly a large percentage of them, I'm sure, had relationship that they could call up at any time. But the parents probably wanted them to come home at any time too, or to go back to school, or take up some work, support the family, something like that. Others couldn't even do that. Parents renounced them, didn't want to have no part of them, cut them out of the will, chastised them, etc.
Tried to kidnap them.
Oh yeah, that went on too. Of course, during those days, even when Prabhupada was here, they actually formed a company of
Deprogrammers.
but I was thinking in terms of like semi or professional people who specialized in the ability to brainwash. Wash the brain from the contamination that it had been influenced by. And, they could, supposedly they knew the law and they could get that son out of the hands of the cult that had misled them, and they could, bring them and free them from this indoctrination. Parents paid good money. I mean, people formed companies in a capitalistic society in order to make money, so they were not doing this for free. You can imagine the cost of such services. It certainly must not have been cheap. These people had to make a living, and to bring somebody's son home again, that's could be quite an expensive price tag. So that went on too. Even here, I remember Muni Raj, Jewish devotee from a Jewish background. He was a little bit eccentric, but he was kidnapped, taken away. We had the temple where that slab is up there. The original temple was a brick country ranch house where Prabhupada came to, and the temple room was there. And so he went out the front door to see who it was, and they threw him in the car and drove off with him. Never saw Muni Raj again. Heard something, huh? Yeah. Some devotee, I think, said they ran into him, but I think I don't know what happened to him, and I can't remember his legal name. He's actually an initiated devotee. And so that kind of stuff went on. And toward the end of Prabhupada's life here, he actually won a victory in the courts in New York. That we were not some sort of detrimental who were exposing the youth of America to some teachings that would make them unproductive and bad citizens in some form or another. Prabhupada won a great victory. And gradually the deprogramming sort of came to an end, although to this day there's some organization of people who fight against the large number of cults that the society in general feels is misleading people. We had that devotee here, Brian Birmingham, who went on to be initiated Veda Vyas, who spent a few years being involved in that, for lack of words, industry. And he knew a lot about a lot of these cults, most of them being somewhat Christian-oriented, because after all, that is the major religion in the United States. So a lot of these cults are very Christian-oriented. There's some very infamous ones, like the infamous church that was led by Jim Jones, I believe his name was. I know Jones was his last name, Jim, I think, the first name. Yeah. He was a sort of charismatic preacher, but he mainly attracted old people on Social Security, especially. He had a large number of African American followers, and he would provide them some communal type of life and take their Social Security money. And, it's pretty famous now. I believe it happened around 1979. he arranged for everyone to commit suicide as the United States Congress and law enforcement was closing in on him for some sort of embezzlement and cheating people in this way. So that's one of the more infamous ones. But there are several, plenty. Brian actually knew a lot about these because he had to investigate them.
Sometimes they even go after someone who was in seminary to be a Catholic priest. It wasn't even a cult to be. They considered, at one point, they were considering almost every religion. They could, if you actually analyze it according to their terminology of what a cult was, that all religions fit that.
Cult had a good definition. Prabhupada used the word long before these people gave the meaning of the word a bad connotation. Maybe they were also considering that their services were available to anyone who family felt that they had improperly or been misled to renounce the world. Or to renounce their duties. Maybe they could have even pulled some people out of the military. But there you sign a contract. When genuine people join a religious organization, there's no contract signed. It's voluntary.
Yeah, and like you said, in Webster's dictionary, cult means any organized form of religion.
Yeah. So, a lot of Prabhupada's disciples gave up families, so they're a very good example of that. But Prabhupada himself is perhaps the greatest example. What did Srila Prabhupada say in purport? That even if one leaves such family members aside to discharge devotional service, the devotee still has no need to bother about such family members because Krishna will take care of them. And Prabhupada's the greatest example of that because he left aside his children, his wife, the family business, just left them to take care of devotional service. They were grown up. I believe still there was one daughter who wasn't married, but he did have grown-up sons. He gave them a business in order to make a living, a pharmaceutical business, retail business, or where they could also retail or wholesale. Either one of them, they knew how to make the products. There was already, a name, not only for the company, but for the products and, logos and all that sort of stuff. It had been in business for 20, 30 plus years. And they simply had to continue it, take it over, means of making income. And he left to go discharge devotional service. He had to tell us. I mean, he went to another part of the world that wasn't as great a communication as there is today. I mean, even the phone wasn't reliable. Generally, people had to send airmail letters, which usually took at least a month to arrive. So, there wasn't a lot of communication. So Prabhupada's family, they wasn't able to really communicate with him. I don't know if he ever got a letter from them. He was writing his god brothers, trying to get some assistance, and some would write back. One sent him, god nephew sent him a donga drum, kartals. But I don't know if he even ever got a letter from any of his children. One did go to the pier where the boat was leaving to see him off, I believe the youngest son. So there wasn't any contact once Prabhupada left, and he had to tell us about his past, otherwise we didn't know. So he's the greatest example of that, leaving everything behind, but not with worry or with some sort of enmity you're leaving behind because, they've developed an inimical relationship. No. Or you're leaving them behind full of anxiety and worry what's going to happen. No. You leave behind knowing that if I can render service to Krishna, Krishna will certainly take care of them better than I could have staying in the world of karma, being a good karma kandi, and hoping my karma can take care of them. No. Let me go render service to Krishna and not worry, because Krishna is the all-pervading Lord of everything, and Krishna is genuinely pleased by his by devotional service. He's always pleased by devotional service, and Krishna is so kind that he'll even help out my relatives that I had some responsibility for. And after all, we have a lot of responsibility. We owe everything to the great Devas. We owe everything to our ancestors. We owe everything to our leaders in our country and neighborhoods and communities. We owe everything to our parents. So then, how can we just forget those responsibilities? There's only one possibility that one does not accumulate some ill karma for ignoring the responsibility to serve one's family and country and the administrative devas of our universe and planet. And that is when one takes up the devotional service of Deva Deva, the God of the gods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At that time, that type of renunciation doesn't have any ill effects. It has only positive effects. The greatest example, and Prabhupada doesn't quote it here, but the greatest example that all the initiated devotees, I'm sure, know, is that of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, Prabhupada does mention it here. His father, great enemy of Krishna, Vishnu, and because his son was Prahlad, he was purified and attained salvation, even though his enmity was so great, he got into a fight, a mortal combat with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He didn't care to beat up on, lesser foes, but his arch enemy was the Supreme Personality of God himself. And it would be a duel to the end. That's what he wanted in life. Of course, he lost. But, even that type of person became purified just because his son was a devotee. Of course, not an ordinary devotee. He was Prahlad Maharaj. He was a pure devotee. So we need to always strive for pure devotional service. We can't be content with just being a religious fellow who is really interested in sense gratification and practicing karma kanda activities, whereby we hoard the fruit of our labor for our self and family and various other charities, and we give a little pice or something a lot smaller to Krishna every now and then, or to our place of worship. But we don't have much interest in worshiping Krishna or hearing about Krishna. We're too busy with, mundane things. No, we don't want to be, that type of devotee who's showing a tremendous lack of interest in pure devotional service. We want to be a devotee that's showing interest in devotional service, whereby we're trying to practice. We're renouncing. We're practicing by renouncing our mundane nature and trying to cultivate a similar attraction and attachment for pure devotional service. And with that, by doing that, then we can have confidence that, Krishna will certainly help me through the places where I have lacked. He even promises in the Gita that for his devotee, he'll make up everything that he lacks. So we have to have confidence in the Lord. The Lord states in innumerable places throughout the Puranas and Vedic literature how much he protects and helps his devotee. Throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find another great case being the case of Yogindra, the king of the elephants in the celestial planets. Yogindra was King Indra on earth in his previous life, and he had memorized some prayers that he would chant. Somehow ever he became the king of the elephants, but not just an ordinary herd. Especially you can imagine being the leader of an elephant herd in Kali Yuga, where all sorts of low-born Sudra, less than Sudra poachers are simply always killing you off just to get your tusk, so they can make a killing on the ivory market for dollars and cents. Not that type of king of an elephant herd, but the king of the kings of the elephants in the celestial world. And he was really enjoying life. But even in the celestial worlds, there's sometimes one is attacked by some enemies, just like the Devas are often attacked by their cousins, the Asuras, who have a desire to rule and are willing to, not just make politics and run for an election. They don't have that type of system, you have to have Kshatriya prowess in order to challenge. Not only can you say that you can administrate better, but you have to prove that you're the best protector by being able to ward off all sorts of challenges. So that's even in the celestial world. So, Indra has to be ready to take up any challenge, and he has powerful cousins who would like to rule and who aren't interested in cooperating with him. They are powerful in their own right, and so they get a little tired of cooperating by, managing the subterranean planets. And occasionally, one of them whose passion, moves him to the extent that he, challenges Indra. And Indra has to meet that challenge. And so you have, war between the Devas and the enemies. And sometimes the enemies win. So similarly, this Yogindra, who was in the Dumna in his past life, he was attacked by a crocodile in the home of the crocodile. In the water, elephants like to play in the water. And generally, an elephant wouldn't have much of a problem with a crocodile on land. He could just easily stomp him to death, even if one foot was captured. He could stomp with the other foot the back of the crocodile and break his back very easily. So, but in the water it was a different matter. The crocodile's it's in his home, it's on his turf. The crocodile's stronger, in the water he can breathe. Yogindra is trying to pull himself out, the crocodile's trying to pull him under. There's not just an ordinary crocodile, a big crocodile that could actually grab a big elephant by the foot and, deal with him, pull him into the water and drown him. The crocodile's elephants got that big nose, but eventually, he would drown if you can't keep that nose above water. When crocodiles or alligators, when they grab a foe or, their prey, when they grab their prey, they pull them into the water and they spin them around until they drown. Like that. So, he could get that elephant in the water deep enough, pull him down and drown him, and then, after that, his lunch. So, but Yogindra became very fortunate because in his course of his battle, he realized that he wasn't going to win. And at that time, he took shelter of the Lord, remembering prayers from his previous life. He began to offer his prayers to Vishnu. And Vishnu appeared and saved him. And I'm sure he got the opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. And similarly in our life, we can look at all of our failures in that way, because if we didn't have failures, we would have maybe never took to life of pure devotional service, because our karma kanda type of life, if we were even that much of a devotee, was too good. if everything had went as planned, I would have went on and been the opulent person I had in mind and met with success in every step of life. What time would there have been for just service to Krishna? I mean, at least in my case, I wouldn't have had the inclination. I would have been too absorbed in this world. Renunciation is for the priest and renunciates, religious ministers, pure servants of God. But, here I am absorbed in my life in this world and, enjoying it and people, praising me for my great activities. So, there's somebody like me who doesn't have an inclination to renounce if I'm victorious in every such way. So by Krishna's mercy, there's only some failure. And although we may not understand it, and it may frustrate people and even depress them, there's the greater reason behind it is the Lord's giving the opportunity to turn to His devotional service. Because that doesn't require any material qualification. It only requires a little sincerity and desire. If I become serious enough, we may think in a, with our false ego even more, we may think, so what? This world is just a miserable place anyhow. Why bother with it? It's just full of misery and contamination and nonsense, corruption. The people exploiting others. We don't think of ourselves as one of those people anymore. We're somebody who's witnessing it all, and so now we want to renounce it. Just renounce such a place, go back home to Godhead. Or sometimes one may be a very successful person, but something may happen that just changes life. I had one king in the Bhagavatam who accidentally shot, I believe, a cow. And he was cursed to take this low birth and lose everything. He thought, why bother with it? And he went off and just renounced everything. He took up the practice of pure devotional service and went back home to Godhead. Why bother with this world? Go back to my real constitution. I'm not really a king. Yeah, take it over. Let the son be the king. I'm going off, renouncing the world, practicing pure devotional service. This place is just a temporary place, full of suffering. Why bother with it anymore? I'm not going to sit back and go through the drama and, work hard to get back what I lost, So I went off and practiced pure devotional service and went back home, back to Godhead. It's actually the Vedic way, the people retire. They retire in Varnashram Dharma. That's what the Vedic life means, Varnashram Dharma. They retire from their material occupation. And you see it in Vrindavan, different places, people that have retired. They may not even take sannyas. Sannyas is not always recommended in this age. There's different types of sannyas. Some people move into a temple. Many stay at home and the family takes care of the whole business, and they sit there studying Sri Chaitanya Charanamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, not caring much for sense gratification, but trying to stay alert in devotional service, spending more time serving at the temple, doing puja, etc. Like that. At a certain age, people, they turn it over, so to speak. Here in the temple, it may not be as, what would you say, as prominent, because after all, we're already serving Krishna, the spiritual master. And sometimes, retirement is dictated by the spiritual master and his representative, because they may need the disciple in a certain place. Even at an old age, like Srila Prabhupada, he was already 50, past 50, but he had renounced his varnashram life. And he was, a sannyasi spreading the Sankirtan movement around the world. But he was the head of that organization now that he had created. He didn't retire until he knew it was time to die, because he had to be there. He kept trying to turn things over to his disciples. Look, I can't be involved in this management, he would say. I need to concentrate on translating, but he was always pulled back in for the sake of maintaining the society. So, but it got to a point to where, he knew that death was inevitable. He could see that it was, within so many months. And so he simply went to Vrindavan and, continued to translate as much as possible, but just to fix his mind on Krishna and, prepare for the end. So, devotees do that all the time too, you see. They go to Vrindavan or they go to Mayapur, or they bunker down in some temple or some devotional atmosphere and try to fix their mind on Krishna's lotus feet. And devotees come and pay them, visits and help them in that matter. So, but the devotee, we don't have to worry. And it's funny, because you never know who that devotee is who may be saving us. Maybe it's one's wife, or maybe it's one's cousin even. Maharaj Pritchard's case, he's thinking it's his grandfather's. Arjuna and his brothers. Arjuna was his grandfather. So he's thinking like that, because of my grandfather, Krishna's being merciful to me. My grandfather was a great devotee, so Krishna is being very merciful to me. Or we may think, oh my God, ain't nobody in my family to help me, I'm going to be, born again in this world, in this religion, and have to do it again, because we don't have many pure devotees around that I know of. So that may give one the urgency to themselves try to practice pure devotional service. Let me try to help the family, and do something, to help everyone. Otherwise, how can I help that uncle? How can I help my father? How can I help my mother? Most of them don't want my help anyway. So, what can I do? I can try to become a pure devotee, help myself, and at the same time help them and help all others. Help everyone, who comes in contact. We may not feel ourselves very potent, but when we're serving Guru and Gauranga, we're transmitting their potency, not our own potency. So, we're giving everybody Guru and Krishna, Guru and Gauranga, and Lord Chaitanya is the great deliverer. So we never know, who takes a book, or who takes prasadam, who takes a flower, or who we encouraged, who we attempted to give Krishna prema to. We never know, the complete effect. We may not have purview of them. They go away, we never see them again. But it may be, the beginning of that person's spiritual life, or maybe something that even at death, was able to, aid them a little bit in getting a better situation. So that's the power of devotional service. That's what we can get out of this verse, that by being a devotee, it's the greatest way to serve not only our family, but humanity in general, our country, even the great Devas, they also devotees of Vishnu to some extent, trying to practice devotional service. And, they're tremendously pleased when somebody's trying to purely serve Lord Vishnu, trying to carry on the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, trying to teach the science of pure devotional service. The great Devas are pleased with the speak of our ancestors, they are very, very pleased. It's not that one, it's like when Jagannath Mishra's, Lord Chaitanya's father, when his Lord Chaitanya's older brother took sannyas, it was a great disturbance because they loved him so much and they had hoped that he would remain within the family. He was the greatest Vaishnava, practically speaking, in the community. Even Advaita Acharya, loved hearing from Lord Chaitanya's big brother. He was an incarnation of Ananta Sage, none different from Nityananda Prabhu. But he was, from the time of his birth, he was extremely renounced, and when he overheard his parents planning his marriage, within a few days' time, he had taken sannyas and left. And, the family was just crushed. Lord Chaitanya's father was so crushed that he pulled Lord Chaitanya out of school and said if he gets an education, he's just going to follow in the footsteps of his brother. As soon as he learns all the Shastras and learns how temporary this material world is, he's going to simply do the same thing his brother did. So, from this day on, Nimai, don't go to school again. You just stay here. I will provide everything. You can do what you want. So Nimai went out and joined again. He was actually the leader of the gang. He would come home late at night. He was always disturbing people. He did whatever he wanted. And one day, he just sat on the mochi pots that are thrown behind the house. It's all biodegradable, made of clay. But they would just throw the pots that had been eaten out of behind the house. So Nimai's sitting up there, and his mother, they'd get down from there. And other people in the neighborhood come and they're looking. And, whatever he does, he always looks so splendid. So he was looking so wonderful there. But still, everybody knows what is going on. You're not supposed to be sitting there. You're just getting yourself dirty. There's soot on these pots, and there's some old food, and animals have been eating out of them. What are you doing there? Get off. And finally, Nimai looks at him and he says, what do you expect from an uneducated boy? And all the townspeople say, why don't you let him go to school? What's going on? We're going to have a talk with Jagannath Mishra about this. And that way Nimai was arranging for his family to send him back to school because, he was feeling the need to perform his scholarly pastimes. So, anyhow, I forget exactly why I brought that up with all these phone calls going on. I'm going to take that, but about taking sannyas. So, that the townspeople would console Jagannath Mishra that just by your son taking sannyas, he has done the greatest thing for your family. Now your whole family is liberated just by one person taking sannyas in a family. So then, what to speak of also becoming a devotee, a pure devotee, making an attempt to practice pure devotional service. Even if one doesn't take sannyas, we shouldn't diminish the practice of pure devotional service. It in itself is even above the order of sannyas in so many ways. There are certainly sannyas, pure devotees, but what if one's a sannyasi and they're a mayavadi? Even the lowest devotee, would be greater than such a sannyasi. Such a sannyasi, what's going to happen to his family? He's misled everyone. He's told them that sometimes they tell people that they are Krishna. So he's misled the whole family. But even the lowest devotee is saying, I'm just the servant of Lord Krishna. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so the whole family benefits. And all he is just a very simple devotee. So we shouldn't think that just being a devotee, isn't something that's of the greatest aid to our family. It's the greatest aid to our family. It's the greatest aid to other people in the world. We're doing the greatest service in the country. You know, that our work is the most important work. This is the greatest philanthropy, etc. So, I'm going to have to stop now. It's also 8:30 anyhow, but I'll have to renounce the questions because these people are trying to get in touch with me and I have to see what it is. Okay, sure. Prabhupada.